How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL live stream. And today, it's the deadline live stream. Now, if you're watching this over on YouTube, I did it the day before just because I wouldn't be at home in time for the live stream. So I'm going to be premiering it over on YouTube. But if you're live on Twitch, hello. We're doing it the night before at 7 p.m. EST. When the deadlines are on Saturdays, we'll be doing them an hour before as per normal like we did last season. But I'm going to be doing it, like I said, the day before just because it is a Friday kickoff, 2:30 p.m. my time, which is 6:30 p.m. UK time when the deadline is. So we need to make sure that you have your teams all ready and raring to go. I'm just double checking that the deadline is that time. It is. So yeah, and the title of the stream today is, apart from the deadline stream and seeing Simicast on my would it be my left, your right, is locked in. I think my team's pretty much locked in. I don't think I had this kind of anxiety last year. I think I was all over the place. I didn't have Sal on my team, and I was tinkering around with that the day before. But yeah, I think I'm pretty good to go. I have a plan going into it, and I think I can adjust if I need to. So we'll definitely look at that. But yeah, we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at my, like I said, I'll show you the plan and how things are going. We'll run through kind of my checklist of things, that I'm looking at, and like I ask myself, or I've like made a mental note of what things I need to be asking in terms of the player, and why do I have them in my team, and yeah. So, and then we'll also go through your questions as normal in the chat. But before we get started, let's talk about our partners for the season. So, we have partnered up with Fantasy Football Scout. There is a link in the About section of Twitch. I made sure it was there. You can click on that link and you get 20% off at the time of this stream. I think it's still before Gameweek when you get 20% off your Fantasy Football Scout membership for the year. And, I mean, just look at all the things. Just look at them. There's so many different things you can use, create custom stats, tables, all that sort of stuff, and it is fantastic. So make sure to go check that out. Like I said, link is in the About section near the two social links. You can also see it over pinned on my Twitter. You can get it on any YouTube video as well. So if you are watching this on YouTube tomorrow when it's premiering, make sure to check out Fantasy Football Scout. Link will be in the description. It's bit.ly/FF Scout Pilot Flame. So make sure to use that and get your free membership. Or not free membership. I wish it was free, it'd be even better, but 20% off your membership. And it's basically like it's going to be free because it's 20% off. It's a fantastic deal. So make sure to go do it. So without further ado, let's see what the team looks like at the moment. And before we get underway, we had Samori, who followed us while we were offline, so thank you for that, and hopefully you can join us for the stream. Hello, John Wick. Hello, Pilot. He says, very long time. Hope you're very good and vaccinated and safe. I am all three of those things, and I hope you are as well. I've had both my vaccines since April. Been good for a while. So yeah, basically I was able to get it early because people were kind of still skeptical about that, so I said, I'll go. So got 2 vaccines, and yeah, it was towards the end of April, start of May, I was able to get both of mine. So yeah, all good. Hopefully you've been keeping safe. And yeah, this is the team up on the screen. So we're gonna go through a bit of a checklist, kind of which I have kind of noted down. I just have to find it really quickly if I can get it. There it is. Right, so we got that all sorted. But yeah, it's basically just a little small checklist, just kind of a couple things to kind of ask yourself and question why the players in your team. And if there's anyone that would be in that position potentially that may be deemed a better pick longer term, or whatever the scope is you're looking at. So for me, I'm looking at my team on a 6-week clock. I want to be going into at the end of those 6 weeks to be in a very good position. I want to be able to wild card in game week 7 when there's a massive fixture swing where Chelsea's fixtures become good. City has a good run, I think, from game week 8 onwards, if I remember correctly. Where is City? Yeah, from game week 8 onwards, they have Burnley, Brighton, Crystal Palace. I want to be able to target those fixtures. potentially hold them for the Man United Everton fixtures and then have this good run as well, and then transition towards United as well after their fixtures get good again. But we want to be able to use the wild card to attack. We don't want to use it to basically play defensively. We want to minimize the number of hits and that sort of stuff this season. I played too many last season, and I think my goal this season is to do no more than basically half a dozen hits, if I can narrow that down. And that just comes with more planning, more research, and just being a lot smarter with the decisions. And I think that will save me a lot of headaches where I'm just making, 6 transfers and that sort of stuff like I was. Although that kind of paid off in the long run, I think. But yeah, so let's just run through the team here. So I'll do both the goalkeepers at the same time because they are kind of a pair. But Sanchez, why am I picking Sanchez? Well, out of the 4.5 million goalkeepers, he has slightly better fixtures, in my opinion, than Bachmann, who is the other goalkeeper that I'd be willing to pay 4.5 million for. I think in the opening 2 fixtures, he's a very good chance for a clean sheet. Even the red fixtures versus Everton and Leicester, they're both at home, where Brighton, without the fans, wasn't playing great, but with the fans back, could do quite well. Sanchez, up until game week 6, has very good fixtures, for the most part. He doesn't play anyone that is considered one of the top 4 teams. So, like, no Liverpool, no Chelsea, no Man United, no Man City. He doesn't play them until game week 9 onwards. So I think he is definitely a good pick. Also, he doesn't play any of the players in my team currently until game week 5, because I have no Brentford, I do have an Everton, but he's a goalkeeper. No Everton, no Watford, no Burnley. So that's another good pick. Am I picking Sanchez for his ownership? No, I'm picking because he is, in my opinion, the best 4.5 million goalkeeper. And although he might not necessarily get as much save points as Bachmann, I think the clean sheets will be slightly more consistent from someone who's done it in the Premier League. Which leads me on to the next and probably final question. Does this player have a history of injuries or anything like that, or have they shown consistency? And Sanchez, when he came in for Matt Ryan last year, showed consistency. He was very good, and he's just a solid goalkeeper. And if anything, Brighton underperformed and should have had more clean sheets than what they had. That's why I'm picking Sanchez. It just seems pretty straightforward to me. Begovic, why am I picking Begovic over like Foster or something like that? Well, he's got a cool looking jersey, I think. But mainly because I want to pick a goalkeeper, a secondary goalkeeper that's 4 million, that's just going to sit on the bench. Begovic could come in potentially for Pickford if he doesn't start on the right foot. I mean, he looks shaky versus United. But I want somebody who has a very low ownership as a secondary goalkeeper, because if we look at the likes of Foster, he has a 27.9% ownership. Now, if people think they're picking him because they think, oh, it's Ben Foster, he's going to start for Watford, when Bachmann could be starting, that could be the reason why he has such a high ownership, and they think, oh, then we might get another playing goalkeeper at 4 million. Now, if that's the case, cool, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I think it's probably a situation where Ben Foster's going to be the backup goalkeeper, and if people start selling him at that high of an ownership percentage, he will drop in price to 3.9, and we don't want that, basically. We want a goalkeeper that the players who have him in their team are never getting rid of him, because there's no need to, unless they wildcard, in which case, cool, whatever. Whereas, if people think, oh, I'm playing Ben Foster, so let's say they start with Ben Foster and Begovic as an example, and they have Ben Foster and go, and they realize, oh man, he's not playing, really? People might start selling him, which is not ideal. So that's why I've gone with Begovic specifically. The only way you would have Foster, in my opinion, is if you had Bachmann. That would be the only other situation. So if you have both of them, then cool, that's fine. And the reason I don't have Steele as an example is because Brighton did bring in another goalkeeper, 4.5. He's injured at the moment, but could be the backup. So I don't want Steele on my bench just because of the fact that if people find out that he is third choice, then he doesn't come in and play. Obviously, the risk with this is that if Sanchez is out, I don't have a goalkeeper, but that's okay, because that's going to happen in most teams anyway. And I also don't want to block myself out of a third Brighton spot, if I need to. Right. Moving on to the defense. So we'll start off with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Why am I picking Trent Alexander-Arnold? Because I think he could do way better than what he did last season. If we look at his previous season, 2 goals, 8 assists. Previous season before that, 15 assists. Previous season before that, 13 assists. He can definitely improve, as can Liverpool. Liverpool got 10 clean sheets. The previous seasons before that, they got 14 and 16. So definitely a lot better on the defensive side, and that was mainly because of Virgil van Dijk. Now, if we also look at the number of minutes he played 600 less minutes or thereabouts in the 2020-21 season versus the 2018-2019 season, played around 600 minutes more, and got way more assists. So that shows you that he can kick it up a gear going into this season. Now, he did come off an injury, which is something that we have to pay attention to, but in preseason, he's played quite fine. He's been crossing the ball quite well on set pieces, and will be on most of the set pieces now because Robertson's injured. So I think that adds a level to him. So, but again, it's something that the injury thing might have to be slightly monitored, because he got injured last season, got injured at the end of the season. So we'll have to potentially monitor that. But Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think, is arguably the best player potentially in the game for his price, because he's a defender, he's so attacking, that sort of stuff. We'll go to Luke Shaw next. Why am I picking Luke Shaw? Because Man United have fantastic fixtures. Luke Shaw is one of the corner takers. He's also one of the indirect free kick takers when it's on the left-hand side. A lot of United's play off the start will go down the left-hand side initially, until they get used to playing with Jadon Sancho. The fixtures, like I said, off the start are great. Do I expect clean sheets in every game? No, I don't. But he's very highly owned, which I don't think really matters too much, because I think that he's actually too cheap. I think 5.5 million is way too cheap. I think him and Rafinha are probably the 2 cheapest players for their positions in that respect. I think Shaw could easily be 6 million, 6.5 million based on the stats that he had behind him. I think he created more chances, or as many chances as Messi or something, in all the top 5 leagues, which is insane. So, and ever since Mourinho's talked nonsense about his set piece delivery, it's been fantastic. That's one thing. I've never had a gripe with Luke Shaw offensively. He's always been fantastic, and now he's improving that. It's just defensively, and United have strengthened with Varane, which will help strengthen Maguire, which will help strengthen Wan-Bissaka, and help strengthen Luke Shaw, which is a bonus. And I think he's just nailed down that position until he's just injured. So that's why we're picking Shaw. He's nailed on as well. And it's not because of the ownership. He's just a great player. He's going to be on set pieces for United. He's 5.5 million, super cheap. So that's why we're picking. Tsimikas. Why are we picking Tsimikas? Well, he's currently 18.1% owned. This comes down to one thing and one thing only. When a high-profile team like a Liverpool, Man City, Man United, Chelsea, sometimes Spurs, Arsenal back in the day, when they have a bone thrown to you by FPL, like Robertson getting injured and their only other left back being 4 million even, and their first couple of fixtures are fantastic, and he's going to play these 3 and then probably be benched afterwards, you take that opportunity. You grab it by the horns. So even if he just plays these two games, I think Robertson probably won't be back until the Leeds game, from the sounds of it. But I think Norwich, Burnley, I think those 2 games are fantastic. For 4 million, he's going to be my 4 million defender. So there's going to be a lot of managers out there. You're probably going to start with a 4 million defender. Most of you, or at least a good bit of you. If you're playing 3-4-3. You might have, maybe you have, let's say you have Trent, Shaw, Digne. You probably have 4.5 like Ayling or Veltman on your bench. And then you probably have a 4.0 like it was Amarty or Omobamidele or somebody like that. So I think not only is Tsimikas the best 4.0 defender, because we almost certainly know he's going to start, but even if he's not, he's probably not going to come off the bench, most likely. If they put somebody in at left back, like James Milner probably plays the whole game. But even that being said, James Milner's played every game in preseason than when he's played in midfield. And Tsimikas also got like 2 assists or something in their last preseason game on Monday when they played at Osasuna. So I think Tsimikas is about as free of an option as you can get. And then he's going to probably gain a little bit of value if he gets an assist off the start, clean sheet or something like that. And he's going to do quite well, I think. Playing for the first 2 games. And then we also have cover moving into our other defenders with Ayling for Burnley away and Newcastle away in game weeks 3 and 5. And then we have Veltman in game weeks 4 versus Brentford and game week 6 versus Crystal Palace. And then we're looking to wildcard in game week 7 anyway to attack those fixture swings. So we really only need Tsimikas for games weeks 1 and 2, which I think he's going to play both of them. And if he's, goes against Chelsea, it's going to be a little bit difficult. Leeds away, he's probably not going to play, and then he's probably not going to play these 2. If he plays, or it's looking like he's going to play these 2 and Robertson's out further, then we obviously play him. And then we sell him later for a little bit of value. This, to me, screams like a shorter-term version of what James Justin was last season. Oh, well, Robertson's going to be back, so why are we going to get him? And then look what James Justin did. He was burning me every week. So I think something like this is just too good to pass up. Which does block our third Liverpool spot because when we move into the midfield, obviously we have Salah, and that just makes the most sense. Ayling and Veltman, I'm going to put them as a pairing, and I think they do come as a pairing because they rotate so well. I mean, if we look at the first 6 game weeks, even if I wasn't playing Tsimikas, game weeks 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. If I was playing all the way, it's game week 8. Leeds cover in 3, 5, and 7. It's just a perfect rotation. Perfect rotation. So we're going to have that cover. And not only do we have that, since Tsimikas is our 4.0 defender, we know he's going to play. He's also more likely to play than both Amarte because I think Leicester finalized, and I think Vestergaard's actually trained, who's come over from Southampton, is going to be playing. Omar Bombadeli plays for Norwich, and his fixtures are kind of bad. Livramento could be good, but Southampton's fixtures off the start aren't great, from what I remember. Where is James Ward-Prowse? There he is. So the only real good fixture off the first 8 is probably like Newcastle and Wolves, maybe, but everything else is kind of not ideal. So when Liverpool, a 4.0 defender, is your best option, you take it. Now this stops you from picking Jota and Mane. We'll get to that now. We have Salah in as our third slot. I think Trent and Salah must have. Salah, the reason is because I think he's in our team, is because out of the first 6 game weeks, he's the best captain in at least 4 of those. I would say. Or minimum, very minimum 3. Game week 1, game week 5, game week 6. Nailed down. Game week 2, there's still a bit of a chance there. Game week 3, probably not. Game week 4, maybe. But definitely game weeks 1, 5, and 6, and then almost certainly 2 as well. He's very highly owned because he scores a lot of FPL points. That's why we want to pick these players. Look at the last few seasons. Yes, he's been slightly declining, but he's still picking up boatloads of points. 22 goals last season. And people said he had a bad season. I don't think how you can score, 231 points, 22 goals, and have a bad season. Hi, Jones. Get Lukaku. I think Lukaku actually, he came in way more expensive than I thought he was. I thought 11.5 is a lot. And Lukaku's not going to play versus Palace, by the way. For all those that are wondering. Lukaku's not going to play versus Palace. If you're looking for a fixture, like, what is Lukaku very good at doing? He's good at scoring goals, at least historically. When he played for Everton, when he played for West Brom, when he played for United, when he's in the Premier League, he does very well versus teams that suck, basically. So the games you probably want him for would be Crystal Palace, maybe Aston Villa. But the real games you want him for are these lot. Burnley, Newcastle, Norwich, Brentford, Southampton. Those 5 games, you can captain Lukaku in every single one of those games. Easily. And what does it coincide with from game week 7 to game week 11? United fixture swings, actually. So if we look at Bruno, from game week 7 to game week 11, when Chelsea have those great fixtures, you can have Lukaku, and then just make sure you have 2 free transfers coming into the Watford game, or maybe you keep Lukaku for a little bit longer, and you save it for when United have this ridiculous run here. I mean, this is just triple United all day. There are rumors he won't play Saturday. Yeah, he's not going to. The Athletic has basically confirmed that he's not going to play on Saturday, which is the game you'd want him for. Crystal Palace at home, fantastic. He might be unveiled there potentially, but I don't see him being played. Jota or Simicast right now on Jota versus Norwich, transferring him to Torres or going to win in Game Week 2. See, for me, I did that last season because remember, United and City didn't have a Game Week 1 fixture, right? It got postponed. They had to play in Game Week 2. Everyone was booking in transfers, bringing in KDB, bringing in Martial, bringing in these players. And it basically burnt everyone. So, for me, I'm trying to save a transfer if I can. Havertz and Mount will destroy Palace. I think Havertz is a good one-week punt. If you want to go and book in a transfer for the Game Week 1, I think Havertz could be a good pick. But remember, Havertz played 120 minutes on Wednesday in the Super Cup. So, not really sure there. So it's not for me, but I can see the reasoning why. Because I think Palace are going to try to attack or try to get on the ball a little bit more than what they did on Roy Hodgson. But I think Havertz minutes could be limited. Target for 5 million. I like that one as well, Tom. I think Matty Cash as well on the other side. Mind you, both of them are kind of yellow card magnets, but I think opening 3 fixtures, fantastic. I think clean sheets all day there. I think they're probably better looking defenders at the moment than maybe Digne. Because Digne, I mean, Everton were terrible versus United. Now, preseason's preseason, but still. You would think Rafa Benitez needs a little bit more time for them to become a bit more defensively solid, which he's known for. But getting back to the midfield. So Salah, I don't think he really needs an explanation. He's a captain option. He's the best captaincy option. I want him in my team. I went without him last season. That was dumb. It's Salah versus a newly promoted team on Game Week 1. He could score a hat-trick. Easy. Bruno Fernandes on the other side. United's fixtures in the first 6 are very good. I think United beat West Ham 3-1 the last time they played them at the London Stadium. I believe that's what it's called. And he's a potential best captaincy option in Game Week 4 and in Game Week 3. He's also not a bad captaincy shout versus Southampton in Game Week 2 as well. So again, I think those two, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Luke Shaw, Salah, Fernandes, and Tsimikas so far, I think those 5 are pretty much like no-brainers, in my opinion. Now, Tsimikas comes with risk because he could be, not necessarily play, but if he's playing, he's a no-brainer. People say the same thing about Jota. I'm not convinced on Jota. Ziyech is injured and Pulisic played most of the game, and Hudson-Odoi played 120 minutes, so I think Havertz will play. Yeah, they're probably all of them, apart from maybe Werner, will probably play like 60-ish minutes. Werner will probably get 90 because he only played like 60 minutes. Mount will probably get 90 because he only played like 60 minutes. So there's going to be rotations on those positions, to be honest. But can you sell Tsimikas over Jota? Jota can be an explosive forward, but Jota also might not even play in Game Week 2. Jota might not even play Game Week 1. We don't know if... that's the one thing I don't know. I don't know if Jota's playing Game Week 1. I would bet more money on Tsimikas starting at left back than I would Jota playing in the front line or in the team, period. Because I think, especially Firmino, how well he played on Monday as well. Firmino, full week of training, had a preseason game, looked good. Firmino's Klopp's guy. Like, straight up. So for me, Klopp can choose between Jota and Firmino if he wants, right? And then for me, Klopp doesn't really have a choice at left back. He has Tsimikas and James Milner, but you kind of want James Milner for the midfield because I think Thiago's still injured. And you need potentially that like industrious midfielder if Henderson breaks down or isn't fully fit as well. So I think Tsimikas is kind of a bargain. Jota will start in Game Week 1. I mean, he might. That's what I'm saying. He might. He definitely might. But he also could get hooked after 60 minutes. Who knows? And then he might not start game week 2. We don't know. Richarlison won't be fully fit and he's only come back from the Olympics. That's also true. Yeah. Good evening, Mono. How's it going? He's played the past 2 games with Mane and Salah. Yeah, he may be. But, again, we don't know. Guess he rested the first team versus Osasuna to keep them fit and safe from injuries. Yeah, but Jota could also be on for 60 minutes and then get hooked. That too. Again, I'm not fully convinced because Jota hasn't been the lethal finisher that he was before he got injured last season. He got injured, came back, he had a boatload of chances. We mentioned it on the Team Watch preseason series that we had for each team. And he had like 10 chances or something like that. And he only scored like once, even though he had like a lot of big chances too. So, again, we'll see. If Jota lines up, I wouldn't be surprised. If Firmino's the one lining up, I wouldn't be surprised. I think Ivan Toney is a good cheap pick. I do too. I think he could be good. Do I think he's going to do well versus Arsenal? Maybe. I would love to see Arsenal lose. That'd be fantastic. But again, I'll come to that Toney decision when I reach the forward line. Antonio Bamford, for me, Antonio. Better fixtures off the start. If you have 0.5 million, you can always transition to Bamford later when Leeds' fixtures really start to get hot from game week 5 to 9, or 5 to 10, sorry. Is Begovic 4.5? He's 4.0. He's 4.0 and he has a cool color jersey. But yeah, Salah and Fernandes, pretty straightforward. Harvey Barnes is the next one. Now, Harvey Barnes is probably one of the exceptions to the rule, in my opinion. Because he looked good before his injury. He then got injured, had a long time off, didn't do any didn't have any Euros or anything like that. He's come back in preseason, but he's had ample preseason. Brendan Rodgers said he's getting better and better and better. And from the sources out of Leicester, it's not like he's going to get dropped. He may get 60 to 70 minutes, but he's definitely getting even better and better and better and better and better. So I think Harvey Barnes could do quite well. And that's kind of the exception to the rule. You kind of don't want to see what happens to players. You want to wait and see on players that just come back from injury. And see how they do before you jump on them. But I think Harvey Barnes has had a good preseason. He's had a long time to recover from his injury. And I think he look sharp. And he was in the Community Shield versus a not too terrible City team. And looked quite good. And I think he's good enough to play 60, 70 minutes. And that's typically when he gets hooked anyway. So I think I'm perfectly fine with that. I think his price is quite good. Also to mention, this team is 0.5 million in the bank, just so you guys know. Is Begovic a starter? Begovic, no, I don't think so. But I think he would be the next in line if Pickford decided to do what Pickford does when he plays for Everton. Tony for 6.5 million is a no-brainer. On paper, 6.5 million looks fantastic for a guy that scored 30-something goals. But there was a thread by, I can't remember the guy's name. It wasn't FPL Panda. FPL Panda is the one that does the Fantasy Football Scout Planner, which is brilliant, by the way. What was his name? I think the Black Box guys, Mark Southern's FF Scout Mark and FF Scout retweeted it. But basically, this guy, he did this like thread on how championship strikers fall off when they come into the Premier League. And I think they said on average, championship strikers will lose 40% or so of their output. Now that means Ivan Toney scoring 17 goals. Is he going to score 17 goals this season? I would probably bet not, in my opinion. But also, again, it could be a wait and see. But we'll talk about that when I get to the forwards. My midfield is the same exact 4 years except I have Bowen or Ben Rama. And again, Bowen could come in. But also, Yarmolenko can play Bowen's position. I think Ben Rama was slowly embedded into the team. And this was the season where he's going to basically play the role. And I think Jesse Lingard was kind of filling the hole for that. But I think Ben Rama's preseason's been great. He's 6 million. He's definitely a punt. He's not very highly owned, only 5.1%. And I think that he could do well. Opening fixtures are good. Antonio's been bigging him up. His first 3 out of 4 games are great. Across the whole 7, you probably say the toughest one is probably Man United, and Leicester. But I think 5 out of those 7, he can definitely do something in them. Will Sancho start? I have no clue, to be honest. Anyone can score against Arsenal. Tony at home on pens and never misses until now. Well, I mean, with Tony, it's a lot of his goals came from within 12 yards, basically, of the goal, right? Which is where you have your highest successful chances. But the thing is, I think, depending on how Brentford play, I think teams will slowly realize if we just stop this Tony guy from getting the ball, they don't score anything. Right? That's probably what they'll think. Now, whether Arsenal pick up on that immediately, I don't know. Saying 2-2. I think I went with a 1-1, I think. I can't remember. I put my predictions on Twitter. But, yeah, I like Benrahma as a differential pick. Benrahma and Barnes are my 2 differential picks. Sort of. I mean, Benrahma is only 6 million. Barnes is 7 million. If things go pear-shaped, I drop Barnes down to Rafinha. Not the end of the world. I can then upgrade Benrahma to another 6.5 million. It's not the end of the world. And I think I'll keep him for the opening 4. Almost certainly. And then we'll go from there. We'll see. Moving on to the forwards. So I'll start with the one forward that could be Ivan Toney. Right? Is Callum Wilson. I think Callum Wilson would be the one I would drop instead of Ivan Toney. Right? Now, is Callum Wilson a proven striker in the Premier League? He is. Callum Wilson, I think, was in the top 15 for all players last season for, minutes per XGI. Which means when he's fit and playing, he contributes. I think Callum Wilson contributes to 2 goals just over every 3 sets of 90 minutes. I think it's a goal contribution every 140 minutes, which would be 2 goals every 280 minutes, which is just over 3 games. Right? And I think his first 3 set of fixtures, he can do well. Aston Villa away, West Ham at home, Southampton. He can score against all of those teams. I think Aston Villa are going to be a bit more open if they're playing with 2 up front. I think West Ham, opening day, home fans at Newcastle, could reinvigorate them. And Southampton at home, again, Southampton have been stripped apart, basically. If Callum Wilson's playing, I think he could do well. Now, if Callum Wilson doesn't play good in the first 3, and Ivan Toney does, we can always swap down to him. You know, we look at Toney's first few fixtures. You know, they both play Villa. They both play Villa away specifically. Toney has Arsenal. Wilson has West Ham. And then Toney has an easy fixture versus Crystal Palace. And Wilson has an easy fixture versus Southampton. So it's kind of an even set of fixtures for both of them. We assess them over the first 3, see how it goes. That's my opinion. Wilson's obviously a lot less owned, so that's obviously my favorite. So if Toney does go and score a brace, then obviously it's not ideal for us because he is somewhat highly owned. But I think Toney falls under one of those categories, as most championship strikers do. You wait and see on them. Now, Bamford was an exception to the rule. I almost started with Bamford last season. I wish I would have. But you wait and see on them, in my opinion. Now, last season, I went with Mitrovic. He got 2 goals, I think, in the second game that he played. And then after that, didn't score for forever, basically. And I hung on for him too long. And the problem with those strikers that are cheaper is that they're a lot more difficult to upgrade to. Whereas Wilson, you can always go down if you need to. Wilson is also a direct swap in Game Week 4, potentially, for Raul Jimenez, if I want to. If Ings is, like, going absolutely ballistic against every team, and I want to keep him, then maybe I go and keep Wilson and bring in, or keep Ings and bring in Jimenez. We'll see. Tony scoring a double? He might do. I'm not convinced by Arsenal. You'll see my Premier League predictions tomorrow. Why is Bamford an exception to the rule? Because he came up and did so well off the start. I think he's one of the best priced promoted players to ever come up and do as well as he did. I think he scored like a goal and assist game week 1. Game week 2 he scored a brace. Like he was going nuts basically. Whereas most strikers, they come up and they don't really do anything, or they cool off really quickly, whereas Bamford kind of kept hitting that level all the way through. Like Bamford scored what, like 15, 16 goals last season? That's crazy for a promoted striker. Now there is one caveat to that though. Bamford had been in the Premier League before. He didn't do nearly as well, but he had been in the Premier League before, like 3-4 years ago. So we'll have to see. Sanchez, Foster, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Shaw, Amartey, White, Ayling, Salah, Johnson, Bruno, Benrahma, Brownhill, Tony, Antonio, Ings. Yeah, I think they're perfectly fine. The only thing I would say is that Amartey might not necessarily start anymore because Vestergaard has come in to Leicester. I think he actually trained with them today, although the deal hasn't been fully finalized, so I'm not sure how that works. This is just from reports. And Amartey might be out even after game week 1 or even before it starts, so we'll see. I personally, if I was picking Greenwood or Jota, I would pick Greenwood probably. But that's just me. I also think Tsimikas is better than Jota at the moment. That's just me. Thoughts on having Vardy up front? I think he could do perfectly fine. If we look at his fixtures, again, it's the same as Barnes. Wolves at home, West Ham away. Might be a little bit tricky because they might sit back a little bit. Norwich, they should do well. And Man City, I don't think there's any reason why Vardy can't score against them because he scored 3, I think, against them last time. Brighton, Burnley, Crystal Palace. I mean, this Man City game is going to be exactly what you want. City will have the ball and they'll hit them on the break. That's what you want. Pukki flew at the start. Yeah, he scored a couple, I think it was, against City. They beat City like 3-2, and then he didn't score for forever, basically. And that's basically what happened to Mitrovic last season. DCL out. I think he could be. He was shown in training when they were greeting Richarlison, like yesterday or whenever it was. He was in trainers, and everyone else was in boots, so I think he still has a foot injury. And any news on Varane? Apparently it's going to get announced tomorrow. He signed his papers, did his rest of his medical, all that stuff yesterday. Apparently he trained today, so I guess they're going to announce it tomorrow. That's just me. Also, Seamus Spud123, thank you for following. Much appreciated. And like I said, if you guys haven't done so already, it's in the chat right now. FF Scout, 20% off. Use that link for the membership. But yeah, Wilson versus Tony, I think their fixtures are similar. I think Tony's obviously not as proven. He hasn't been in the Premier League that much. I think he's only been into 1 season, didn't really play too much, whereas Wilson has, and Wilson has shown that when he does play and gets minutes, he can do well. Newcastle fans, he's talked about them, have helped him quite a lot, so we'll see. Antonio, I think Antonio is arguably probably in a lot more teams. He's actually in a lot less teams than I think, personally. Again, first 4 fixtures are great. First 7 fixtures, I think, overall are quite good. Antonio can score basically against anyone. He's very unique in that aspect. And I think he could do well. 7.5 million, I think it's a fantastic price. Obviously, the only problem is injury though. But he looks fit. And I think probably by the time Europa League comes around is when we'll want to get rid of him anyway, which is around game week 6 to 7-ish. So yeah, that's when we'll probably want to look to shift him on. Then anyway, and then he looks like he has a really good run of fixtures during the Christmas period where he'll probably play a good bit of those games too, and there's no European games. No City players. What are your transfer plans for game week 2, City versus Norwich? Nothing. I don't have any plans to bring in any City players versus Norwich, and the reason being is because you'll see a team. I'll show you. I'll do a predicted City lineup in just a second once I finish talking about Ings. My team is Martinez, Shaw, Arnold, Simicaz, Ayling, Salah, Fernandez, Rafinha, Barnes, Antonio, and Vardy. Thoughts on that team? I think it's good. I don't think you have any money left in the bank, but you can easily shift from Vardy to Kane or Vardy to Lukaku with a downgrade somewhere, I guess. The only problem is that your bench could probably be a bit on the light side, but that's fine. If you're looking at early wild card, you can do that too. But that team should hold out quite nicely, I think. Amarte's on the bench. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Again, is Amarte, Livramento, or Amabamidele? What's splitting hairs between them? I mean, a lot of players are probably going to have him at 4.0. I think long term, Livramento is probably the most likely one to get game time out of those four. Because Norwich currently have defensive issues. Simicast is only in because Robertson's injured. Amarte was only playing because they have, Fofana and Evans are out. And they have to go on and rectify the situation by bringing in Vestergaard. And Livramento could play. Again, I'm not sure. Barnes, Rafinha, or Gundogan. For me, Harvey Barnes. But, again, that's just me. And again, if City do start off well versus Spurs, I still have 0.5 million in the bank. I could take Barnes out and switch it to Gundogan, no problem. If Barnes doesn't look very good or doesn't play very many minutes or he's not fully fit or whatever, I can always switch him if I need to. But lastly, Danny Ings, I think it's pretty much a no-brainer. Fixtures are fantastic for Aston Villa off the start. He scored in the preseason game. He's going to be playing in the front too. I think Watkins showed last season that when he did play up front, he often provided when Grealish was out to the likes of El Ghazi and Trezeguet and Traore quite often when he was assisting quite a bit. And Danny Ings could be taking penalties if El Ghazi's not on the pitch. Again, Danny Ings is somewhat injury prone, but I think this move suits him because of the fact that they're going to be basically funneling the ball into him mostly. And that's the only problem I have with the three front players, is all of them are potentially injury prone at any given time. But the likelihood of obviously 2 or 3 of them getting injured in all in one go or all in 1 week is highly unlikely. And we have the wild card just in case that goes, the house starts burning down. But knock on wood, hopefully that doesn't happen. But yeah, those are the reasons for my picks. Yeah, and we have 0.5 million in the bank. Also, Gilmore, Brownhill, doesn't really matter. The only reason I picked Gilmore is because he plays for Norwich, and hopefully I don't have to use him ever. And I'm more likely to bring in 3 Burnley players than I am 3 Norwich players, probably. That's the only real reason, but yeah. Barnes to Torres, straight swap. That too, that's another thing. Great. If Torres is playing false 9 and the Kane deal is dragging on, or he isn't going to sign and Torres is playing through the middle, I can easily go for Ferran Torres. No problem. Fantasy is so stressful, it's just about trying to get the decision right. That's what it's all about. But at the end of the day, you got to think about the things. Where is it? I need to open up where's my... So I wrote a list of things basically to rules to next season. My thing is, so these are the rules. Any love for Jimenez from Gameweek 4 onwards? That's part of the plan. I'll talk about that in just a second. These are the rules that I wrote at the end of last season. I wrote them down, and this is what I'm going with. Get the first week right. Don't do anything crazy. Just get the first week right. Pick the players that are going to score well. You can have a couple of players in there that are going to be your slight differential. So for me, it's Benrahma, Barnes, and Wilson. But for the most part, have the players in there that are going to do well. Salah captain, Fernandez, Antonio, Ings, Shaw, Alexander-Arnold, Sanchez. Pretty straightforward. Set your team up to where you can be okay. All the good striker choices are so injury prone. Yeah, exactly. They are. It's true. Tony also has some type of neck problem, but apparently he's going to be fine. So again, that's another rule that they put on Black Box. Even if the manager says, yeah, they're coming off an injury, but they're fine, that doesn't necessarily mean to jump on them right away. So much talk about Son, but I think I'll leave off. Yeah, I have the option to go to Son in Game Week 3. Just downgrade Fernandes. Or downgrade Salah, rather. Not Fernandes. What am I talking about? Downgrade Salah. Salah plays Chelsea at home, Leeds away. Son plays Watford at home, Crystal Palace away. I'll take Son for 2 games, thanks. Whether Kane's there or not. That's just me. I don't have Ings. Should I be trying to get Antonio to Ings, or should I be okay? I personally think Ings could do quite well. I think Ings and Antonio are very good, and I think it's the third striker that's the option. I think, in my opinion, this is just me, I think the third option for most managers is you have Antonio, you have Ings, and then it's a matter of, do I want to play a 3-5-2, which case I have a dud striker? Do I want to play 3-4-3 and have Wilson, have a cheaper midfielder? Or do I want to have Tony and have a slightly more expensive midfielder like Greenwood or Jota? That's how I see it. Lucas Moore, Ali, better value? Probably Ali, maybe? That's just me. But yeah, Ings to Jimenez in Game Week 4. But that could also be Wilson, too. We don't know. I have the 0.5 million in the bank in case I need to, wait and lose on a price rise just to make sure that somebody's fit. Anyway, rule number 2. Pick the best fixture for captaincy. So, if you haven't done this, I would suggest doing it. In the Fantasy Football Scout members area, there is a transfer planner that you can set up, and you can also make a captain matrix as well. I would do this 100%. So you go through fixture by fixture. So I'll scroll down here. You go through fixture by fixture, and you say, what are the 3 best fixtures for this week? So if we look at Game Week 1, we say Liverpool versus a promoted team. That's got to be number 1. Man United at home to Leeds when they beat them 6-2 last time at Old Trafford. That's probably got to be number 2. And then I would say the third fixture is probably Chelsea at home to Crystal Palace. You can argue and say Chelsea versus Crystal Palace is number 2. But undoubtedly the best fixture this week, in my opinion, and in most managers' opinion, Norwich versus Liverpool. Right. Game Week 2. Arguably Liverpool versus Burnley or United away to Southampton. Game Week 3, probably Spurs versus Watford, or in Game Week 2, City versus Norwich, obviously too. But if you look at the first 6 fixtures, 4 of them, Salah is a very high or the highest contestant, basically, which means he's got to be in the team. Fernandes, his fixtures are good, and 2 of them probably are very good for him to be a captain as well. So, again, that's what I would do. And then each week I would address it. I would go back to it and be like, why did I think that this is the best fixture? Oh, because he's playing a promoted team. Makes sense, right? For this week, for Salah as an example. Oh, why did I pick Fernandes at home to Newcastle? Because Newcastle aren't great defensively. And it's at home with the United fans. That's going to play a big factor, I think. With the fans being back in the ground. Sanchez, TA, Shaw, Simicast, Salah, Bruno, Greenwood, Barnes, Ings, Tony, Antonio, Bencha, Foster, White, Ayling, and Brownhill. I think there's nothing wrong with that team whatsoever. And again, it's just basically, instead of Tony, I have basically Ben Rama at that price point plus 5 million. Or not 5 million, I wish I had 5 million. Plus 0.5 million. And then I have Wilson in place of Greenwood. That's all really the decision there. Realistically. And you have Ayling and White, I have Ayling and Veltman. That's it. And you have Brownhill and Gilmore, but again, hopefully we don't have to use those players, obviously. Ben Rama to Barnes will burn all my cash right now. 1.0 in the bank, already have Antonio. Again, I think Ben Rama can do well, I think Barnes can do well. It just depends on what you want. It just depends on what you're looking for. My team structure, the way it's set up now, is that I'm not really looking to trade out Ben Rama or Barnes for the first 6 game weeks, probably. That's what I'm kind of looking at. It's the Ings spot, or the Wilson spot that I'm potentially trading about. It's taking Salah out for a couple of weeks when he plays Chelsea and Leeds away, when I can bring in Son for Watford at home and Crystal Palace away. That could be a good upside chasing. Yeah, you know. Ben Rama to Barnes, I already read that one. You're hoping for Wilson hat-trick. Maybe. Maybe I'm not. But definitely we want Wilson to score, obviously. Rule number 3, a set and forget goalkeeper. Now, this could be a 4.5 and a 4.0, a 5.0 and a 4.0. Just no rotating goalkeepers, in my opinion. If your goalkeeper misses out to a random injury or has to isolate or whatever, you take it on the chin, it's whatever. It's just a goalkeeper. You don't spend that much money in it anyway. That's just my thing. I tried rotating goalkeepers last season, and it was often when the keeper played in the really good fixture where they didn't get the points. So let's say I had Bachmann. Bachmann could be playing United at home. Sanchez could be playing Burnley away, hypothetically, right? Sanchez will get 2 points because they'll concede off a set piece, and Bachmann will get a 0-0 versus United because he makes a billion saves. Happens all the time. You know? 4, identify players catching form sooner. Now, this is obviously the most difficult thing to do, but obviously if you need to make transfers earlier on in the week, I think in the first few game weeks, I think that's fine. Over international breaks, I would say wait as long as you can. And obviously when you're on a wild card, you can obviously gain value and that sort of stuff as well. And then lastly, stick to the plan. So if you have a plan, stay to it. And if new information crops up, question the plan, as an example. So if you say, so for me as an example, I have currently that I'm going to be taking out Salah in game week 3 to bring in Son. What is my reasoning for that? Because I think Son over 2 fixtures can do quite well, and I can always bring Salah back when Son's fixtures suck. Now, if it comes to game week 3 and Salah scored a hat-trick and a brace, you know, against one really good defensive team in Burnley, as an example, and Son's been nowhere near the goal, and Kane's been bad, and Spurs just in general look a bit lackluster, then I can reassess. I can say, well, is Son actually worth bringing in? And then address it then. Any thoughts on Pukki or Chris Wood? I think Pukki could be okay for these fixtures here. Or maybe these ones here. But, again, it's Norwich. Are they going to play differently? They don't have Buendia anymore. That's a big factor. We have to see how they play. But they had a similar run to how they came into the Premier League last season. I remember they had Man City game week 2 as well. Chris Wood, I think, could do well. Chris Wood is one of 6 strikers over the last 4 seasons that scored double digits every season. So, again, could do well. Burnley's fixtures. Where's Pope? There's Pope. You know, probably at the end of the season we'll probably have him at some point. It's just the fixtures are kind of patchy. I would say this is probably the best. Maybe on the wild card. You know, Norwich at home, Southampton away, Brentford at home, Crystal Palace away. Maybe you have another midfielder that comes in just for these 2 fixtures in 8 and 11. That might do okay. I don't know. I wonder, will Bamford's minutes be limited? No, I think Bamford's going to play up front, and I think Rodrigo's going to play one of the midfield slots. I think. Because I think Dallas is starting at left back. Maybe? Well, he might not. I don't know. But we'll see. Again, Leeds is also kind of a little bit of a wait and see. Because they do have some players, like if Rodrigo becomes an asset of 6.5 million, I think, he could be very good. It's against Wolves, and it could be tough. Well, remember, Wolves play a very high line with this new system that they're playing, and he could be getting in behind. I think Vardy could do well. And remember, Leicester under Brendan Rodgers, you have to remember, Spud, they start off very well. Leicester, first half of the season, are usually fire. It's the latter half of the season where they don't do too hot, you know. That's when they kind of fall off. But off the start of the season, they're usually pretty good. Hold off till Leeds attack us. So game week 3 or game week 5. That's what I'm doing. So let's show you what the transfer plan is. So I have 0.5 million in the bank. Game week 2, not going to do anything. Game week 3, if this warrants it, Salah can come out for Son, because Salah has Chelsea at home, Leeds away. Son has Watford at home, Crystal Palace away. And if Son's playing up front by himself and Spurs look halfway decent, that could be quite good. Game week 4, we can look to potentially get rid of one of our strikers, so probably Danny Ings, whose fixture's turn. And we can bring in Raul Jimenez up front. And we still got plenty of money in the bank. Game week 5, we can get rid of Son again and bring back Salah. And then what we can also do is upgrade Ben Rama, who plays Man United and Leeds before a potential wildcard in Game week 7. We can potentially take him out and bring in Rafinha for Game week 5. Game week 6, we could just take a 1-week punt on something. Potentially, we could take a 1-week punt on something. I don't know what that's going to be, but it'll be something. And then in game week 7, we wildcard. That's kind of what the plan is. Yeah, Pepe, as an example. What's Arsenal's fixture in game week 7? It's probably pretty good. Away to Brighton? Could be. Or game week 6, rather. Not game week 7. Well, they play Spurs in game week 6, so probably not ideal. Game week 6 probably isn't ideal. But Crystal Palace at home to Brighton. Maybe Barnes out and bring in Zaha, as an example. Zaha loves scoring versus Brighton. Loves scoring versus Brighton. Under Patrick Vieira could be like his guy, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think he could do well, and that's a 1-week punt. And then we wildcard. We bring in Lukaku. We bring in whoever else we want to bring in, right? You know, because if we're looking at if we look at Man City's fixtures, come game week 7, you know they play Liverpool away, but they have this little nice run here, and then the fixtures afterwards are pretty decent. And if Kane's there, then Kane's firing, I think. Obviously, Chelsea's fixtures, I mean, we ain't gotta even talk about that, but I mean, you could just look at this. I mean, that looks like Lukaku's scoring a brace every game. Just take the armband and just every game, you know. And you'll bring in the likes of Chilwell. Mount could come in there. Wolves' fixtures are still pretty good then, too. So, yeah. Lots of talk of Watkins being very decent versus Ings for 0.5 million less. Again, they're going to be playing up in the front, too. But I see Watkins being the less selfish of the two strikers. I think Ings will drop deep. Watkins will tend to fade out to the left anyway, whereas Ings is kind of often playing down the middle. You know? And Ings could also potentially be on penalties later on. Pepe or Smith or Arlaka. Yeah, when Arsenal's fixtures are decent. Maybe. Pepe for 7.5 million. Again, could change things. Wouldn't know. Last question. I have to put either Ayling or Amarte in my team as it's a 4-4-2 formation. Which one should I put into my team, or should I swap Ayling and bring in Ben White? Can't remember. Did you put your team in the chat? Just scrolling up just to see. You did. So you got Tsimikas, Shaw, Martinez, Ayling. So I mean, you could just have Ben White. To be honest, if you're playing a 4-4-2. Ben White, Veltman. That's what I would say. Yeah, don't play Ayling versus United away. Guess versus have dropped Bruno and Salah if Kane goes to City and Lukaku for game week 7. Yeah, basically. So the wild card would be something like you'd have Lukaku up front. You'd have probably Bamford in there. Maybe you keep Jimenez, or you pick Kane, or you still keep Salah because Liverpool's fixtures from game week, you know, they're mixed from game week 7 to 11, but he's still got Watford away, Brighton at home, which isn't terrible. So maybe we do ditch Salah and then bring him back in for this run. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see on Grealish, Kane, Lukaku to see how we go later. Exactly. I think there's a lot of... Because again, that's the last thing. Let's go to Man City. I'm going to go to Man City here real quick. Hey, Zach, how's it going? Will Lukaku play Game Week 1? No, I think the Athletic confirmed that. Jota will cover from hopefully Game Week 7. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. But I think Klopp's going to get into a system once Europe comes into rotating Mane, Firmino, and Jota. So one game it's going to be Mane out, one game it's going to be Jota out, one game it's going to be Firmino out, and Salah's probably going to play most of them. But if we look at City, who's going to start this weekend versus Spurs? Well, Ederson will probably start in goal, no doubt. It'll be Diaz. It'll probably be Cancelo. It might be Mendy. And I think depending on how much training he's had, it could be Stones. Could be. In midfield, it's going to be one of Rodrigo or Fernandinho. Gundogan will definitely play. And then it's a question of who else is going to play in there. And then in the front line, it's going to be Grealish is going to be one side. Mahrez is probably going to be the other side. And then whoever is going to be playing down the middle. Zinchenko is also mentioned. It could be Rodri and Fernandinho. Who knows? But, let's say all of those players play. Game week 2 comes around. It's Norwich at home. You know. Sterling's now fully fit in training. De Bruyne, we don't know how long he's actually out for, but I've seen pictures of him in training with Grealish, so I don't know. De Bruyne could be back by then. Like we mentioned, Sterling would be fully fit. Jesus could be utilized. Kane could be in training and starting. You just don't know. He could have like a whole front 6 completely different. Like game week 2, you could see a midfield of Grealish, De Bruyne, Fernandinho, whereas the previous week the midfield could have been Bernardo Silva, Rodri, Fernandinho. The front line could have been Torres, Grealish, Mahrez, and then the week after that it could be Sterling, Kane. I don't know. Gundogan, I don't know. You could put whoever they want. Ronison, Martinez, Soufal, Trent, Dunk, Hover, Target, Barnes, Salah, Greenwood, Smith Rowe, Benrahma, Vardy, Ings, and Armstrong. I think that's a perfectly fine team too. Potentially looking to bring in Kane as an example there by the looks of the team. The only issue, obviously, with it is that it has no Fernandes, which I think is potentially a big risk. But you're looking to potentially make it easier to transition to Vardy to Kane game week 2, Kane to Lukaku game week 5. Yeah, that's true. Could do that. Whether Kane stays at City or not. Because Kane, I think, would have Wolves away in game week 2, which isn't bad either. Good news, the safest is KDB's out, and if Kane does not sign Torres for game week 2, yeah, exactly. No Bruno, no Shaw, that's danger. Yeah, that would be the only, obviously, caveat. But again, you can't have them all. You can't have them all, unfortunately. Like, there's going to be points in the season. Like, let's. I'm just going to make a team, hypothetically. Let's say Kane goes City, and we want him in game week 7 because, you know, City's fixtures aren't terrible, and they have a really good run from 8 to 10, and they have a good run afterwards as well. I'm just going to make a theoretical wildcard team. What's Leicester's fixtures like? Not ideal. I'm just going to say, let's say we go with... Just going to put in Melia in goal. Just for giggle's sake. We'll get rid of Ailing. I'll just put in Deli in there. We'll go Chilwell, let's say, hypothetically. And let's say I'll just go Ben White or whatever. We'll just throw whoever in there. Up front, we can have, let's say, Bamford, because his fixtures are good. Lukaku, because his fixtures are obviously nuts. Kane's fixtures, because he's obviously nuts. Who else's fixtures aren't bad? Right, Wolves' fixtures are decent through here as well. What's Ben Rama's fixtures like? They're okay. Rafinha would be one. Where's Rafinha? Rafinha. I'm just going to just pick one at random. I'm just going to say Neto. Just hypothetically, this is just a cheaper midfielder. And then, let's say Grealish is the one that's most likely, nailed. You can go Grealish. And then, whose fixtures are also good in here? Aston Villa's don't look too bad. So let's say we'll go, I don't know, Buendia. Right? Now you look at that team. And that team is completely different. You have a lot of money in the front line. A very cheaper midfield. No Salah, no Fernandes because their fixtures aren't as good. You could potentially keep Trent just because Trent's Trent. Right? And then from Game Week 13 onwards, you want to keep your City guys. Chelsea from 13 onwards, 14 onwards. Let's see, when is United's good fixture start? Is it 14? No, they play Arsenal. It's Game Week 15. Game Week 15, when his fixtures are not ideal either, or they get worse for this period, you can then take out Lukaku. You can then trade out Neto, who his fixtures go bad in 15 coincidentally as well. You bring back in Fernandes. You have a cheaper forward up front. Don't know who that would be, but it could be somebody. Maybe you get rid of Trent because his fixtures aren't as good. From 15, after Game Week 15, you can stop doubling up on Leeds probably. And then you can boost the midfield. Maybe you go with Jadon Sancho in there. You get Shaw in the back line. Like, there's many different things that you can do after like the wild card and stuff. So again, it is a bit weird, but yeah, we're thinking way too ahead here. It's not even finished Game Week 1. Who to bench? My bench is Sufal, Armstrong, or Hover. I would bench I don't know. Target versus Sufal is quite close, actually, in my opinion. I think they're both about even, to be fair. Do I think who's less likely to concede? Probably Aston Villa, probably less likely to concede, I would think. Just because they have a better goalkeeper. But it's not much in it, to be honest. And they're also playing a worse opposition, in theory. Smith Rowe, Tammy Abraham, if he goes Arsenal. Yeah, Tammy Abraham could be a bargain at 6.5 million. But again, Lacazette, Aubameyang, who's going to play, right? But yeah. Alright, I think that's going to about do it for the deadline stream. And if you're watching this when we put this over on YouTube, the deadline is probably somewhere around now. So hopefully you had your team locked in. This is probably what my team's going to look like. Can't guarantee it, but I will post it on Twitter. So make sure you follow us over there. Subscribe to us over on YouTube and all that sort of good stuff. Follow us over on Twitch so you can see when we go live, because our next deadline stream for Game Week 2 is going to be an hour before the actual deadline because it's on a Saturday. But yeah, before we go, let's talk about our partners for this season. So, we have partnered up with Fantasy Football Scout. They have fantastic tools in the members area. They have a fantastic, like, the transfer planner is insane. Like, it updates the prices and everything. It allows you to plan things out nicely. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of work there. So yeah, I think it's a very, very good tool. So I think that's probably one of the crucial things. Also, the 3-player comparison tool, fantastic as well. And just creating stats tables and that sort of stuff, which we use on our videos all the time. So yeah, make sure to check that out. The link is actually in the chat at the moment. It is http :/bit.ly/FFS Pilot Flame. So Fantasy Football Scout Pilot Flame. Make sure you go check that out. The link is in the About section on Twitch. It's also over my Twitter. It's in the Twitter bio, and it's also pinned as well. It's everywhere. But yeah, make sure to check that out if you haven't done so already. But yeah, let's move over to the big screen. So yeah, thank you, John Wick. Thank you, Mono. Cheers to you all that joined us for this. And if you're over on YouTube and you're watching this as a premiere, hope you all enjoyed the last moments of the deadline. Hopefully your team's locked in. You got your bench order. Hope you got your captaincy right. And yeah, good luck in game week 1. We will be back for a preview stream either Sunday or Monday. I'm not sure when we're going to do that, but the deadline stream will be normal. Next week it's going to be an hour before, because the deadlines for the next 2 game weeks before the international break are on Saturday. So we'll be back for those at 5 a.m. EST. Early o'clock, basically. But I'll have a pinned comment down below to let you all know. And on probably Sunday, I'll probably do a little snippet on Twitter or on the community section on our YouTube channel to let you know what content's coming. But most likely, it's going to be something along the lines of maybe something on Sunday, the preview stream on Monday, captaincy on Tuesday. Maybe we'll throw in another video there on Wednesday. Thursday might be the team preview. Saturday will be the deadline stream. I don't know. It's going to be something like that. But you'll see it over on Twitter, so make sure to follow us over on that. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Have a good game week 1. Don't stress out too much. What you've done is already been done. If you're watching this over on YouTube, if you're on Twitch, you still got a little bit more time. But yeah, thank you all for watching. And until the next one, take care.